the biggest cat in all of Africa, and some of their babies. That, everyone, is the African lion. Isn't that nice? We're very lucky to be seeing them. And we just came round the corner. We didn't know they were here. And there they are. Beautiful, beautiful lions. Now, what we've got here is 5 lionesses and 6 little cubs. Now, the little cubs are not so little anymore. Some of them will be a year old in May. And I bet you're wondering to yourself, how can they be looking at lions? Surely lions must be dangerous. And the answer is that lions can be dangerous, but only if you make them cross. And we haven't made these ones cross at all. And so they're not going to harm us in the slightest. Isn't that nice? I bet you didn't think you were going to see lions when you came to school today. And what's really nice is that they're actually doing something. Most of the time, lions don't do anything. They just sit around the place doing absolutely nothing. Because they get so very tired being lions. And you know why they get tired? They don't have a diet like yours. You know, you have a nice breakfast in the morning. And sometimes it's eggs, and sometimes it's bacon, and sometimes it's cereal. Well, these lions have to eat only meat, and so they're so tired. So Messam, when you ask what do lions eat, the answer is they only eat meat. And that's very tiring. If you only eat meat, you get very tired. And Vanessa, you're thinking to yourself, how fast can a lion run? I mean, if these guys have to get out of the way, how fast can a lion run? The answer, Vanessa, is, well, they can run at probably about, they think the top speed that a lion can reach is probably about 80 kilometers an hour, which is about 50 miles per hour. So I'm just going to move very carefully because obviously these lions, we don't want to startle them. They can run about 50 miles per hour, and I know that there are many of you in your class who are very fast, and I know you're fast, but you're nothing like as fast as a lion, I'm afraid. They are so quick. They're not the quickest animal in the world. That would be a cheetah, which can run at 60 miles an hour, but they reckon that a fast lion can run at about 50 miles an hour. Isn't that amazing? Let's have a look at the little baby one at the far end. Amelie, what a good question. You obviously know a little bit about animals. Look at this cute little thing coming up now. And you say, do lions, are they born with hair? Yes, Amelie, absolutely they're born with hair. They are born with hair. They're born with their eyes shut, and their eyes open after about 3 to 6 days. So they're blind when they're born. They can't see anything. But it takes about 6 days for them to open their eyes. And then they take still a long time to be able to move properly with their mums. They have to stay inside or in a den for quite a long time. Well, Tristan, I think if you look carefully, you'll answer your own question there. We're looking at an adult female who's giving herself a bit of a clean, and you say, do all lions have a mane? The answer is absolutely not. No, definitely. Only the males have a mane. In a very rare occasion, you might find a female lion who's got a mane, but that's very unusual. And it's about as usual as finding a woman with a beard. So a mane is like a beard. And only men have beards normally. I know some women who've got beards, but that's a little bit disconcerting. You don't need to worry about what the word disconcerting means. And it's about the same number of female lions that have manes. Diana, as we look at these 5 babies, you say, how many babies can a lion have at once? They say about 6 is the limit, but very seldom will a lioness actually have 6 babies. That's very, very unusual indeed. So I'll tell you what, I've got this very fancy thing of information that I carry with me all the time. And it will tell me probably what the record is, how many the most a lioness has ever had. I'll have a look. Let's see what we can find. Now they're cleaning each other because that's what lions do. They're just like house cats, they like to clean each other. They have to try and stay clean all the time. And why do you think it is that a cat wants to stay clean? Have any of you got any idea? Let me ask you a question rather than you asking me a question. Why do you think it is that lions have to clean each other, as do leopards, as do house cats? Why do they clean each other like that? What's the point? See if you can think about that. Look at them, mum being very affectionate. That means very gentle and kind with her youngsters. Let me just see if I can't find this number for you. Joshua, you want to know how old the mama lions are? Well, these lionesses are probably between 3 and 7 years old. I don't think all 5 are here. I think it's actually just 3 of them. 3 lionesses. There are 2 other lionesses that belong to this pride, and I don't think that they are here. So probably about between 3 and 7 years old. You know, lions don't live a very long time at all. They only live for around about 10 to 15 years. That's not very young, at least long, is it? I know, you say, what do lion babies do? Well, they do a lot of sleeping, but what do you do that is different from what adults do? Think about what you do that's different from adults. And I know that when I was a kid, what I always wanted to do was play, and I didn't find that the adults wanted to play so much with me, and so that's what these little cats do. They like to sleep and eat and play, just like us. And Andy, you want to know how big these cubs are when they're born? They are tiny. They're about the size of a rat. So probably about, say, that big. Is that tiny? About 8 inches long. That's minute, isn't it? So they're very, very small, and they can't see anything, and they can't hear anything, and it takes them a little while to open their eyes. I'm just looking around to see if I haven't missed anything. Because just behind us, let me show you something quickly. Just behind us is something that you in the United States would call a buzzard. And Marcus, you say, can baby lions walk when they're born? They can sort of walk, but not really, no. Not when they're born. After a few days, though, they can stand up and move around, but they can't walk very well. There. This is quite a nice picture of them. Michaela, yes, I'm afraid they do, you know. You say, and I bet you're very surprised by this, you say the lions lie down the whole day. Yep, pretty much. Remember we were talking about elephants and how they only sleep for 2 hours of the day? Well, these lions will probably sleep for 20 hours a day. 20 hours. Imagine going to sleep for the whole night, and then going to sleep again straight after that for the whole night. That's as long as these lions sleep every single day. So you know how long it takes for you, for example, if you get up in the morning at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock perhaps, and you have your breakfast and you go to school and you come home and you play around a bit, and then eventually it's time for supper, and then you go to bed again. All that time lions can sleep and do absolutely nothing. They're very lazy. Anthony Burns Elementary School, you said that the lions clean each other because they are dirty. Well, yes, I suppose that's true. They do clean each other because they're dirty, but they don't want to smell bad. That's why they clean each other. And they don't want to smell bad because when they're hunting, they don't want their prey, which can be impala or buffalo or wildebeest or zebra or kudu or nyala or waterbuck or reedbuck or sable antelope or giraffe sometimes, or even hippo, like you saw with Taylor. They don't want their prey to be able to smell them. Because if their prey can smell them, then their prey is going to run away. And then they won't eat. You hear that? They're just talking to each other. And we're very lucky to have them in amongst the grass, because if they were all lying flat just a little bit further into this grass, we wouldn't see them at all. They could disappear and we'd never know that they were here. And look at the little baby also cleaning mum, just so that they are friendly to each other all the time. Westlin, you want to know how strong a lion is. Well, I bet you think you're quite strong, Westlin. Well, a lion's even stronger than you. I bet you think your dad's quite strong. Well, a lion is stronger than your dad. I bet you even think that if you have ever been on a horse, have you ever ridden a horse? Oh, dear. That little cub's got a sneezing fit, like Taylor did earlier on. We'll have to call that lion Taylor. Well, Westlin, they're about as strong as a horse. Can you imagine that? Isn't that an unbelievable strength? A small horse, but a horse nevertheless. So they're very, very powerful, and they can kill something bigger than them. So these lionesses weigh about 240 pounds or so, and they could kill something that weighed at least 350 pounds. So they're very strong. That's why they sleep so much. All right, everybody, from Anthony Burns, from what was the other B one? Bartlett, or but it is Bartlett Community and Pembroke. Thank you very much for coming on safari with us. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day at school. Try to concentrate, and remember, life can only get easier from your school days. Bye-bye.
We're back with us, and we've got a...
We're live again, everybody. Hello, my name is James Henry, in case you're wondering. Here we are with the Nkuhuma Pride on Arathusa. And it's very nice to see them again, I must say. Please talk to us, hashtag Safari Live. School drive's over. School day is over, well, not school day, school drive only. So please ask us questions, and these lions are getting up. And that's quite unusual, as many of you will know, of course, watching these lions all the time. You'll know that they're not very good at getting up this time of the day. But it's quite cool out here. I'd say probably, I was told it was 28 degrees Celsius, which is 82 Fahrenheit. That is a far and contemptible untruth. I'm going to say it's no more than 26 degrees or so, which is 74 degrees, and not 74, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, which is actually a very pleasant temperature. So talk to us about the Pride. Tell us, I mean, I haven't seen these things for I don't know how long. You know, in fact, I can tell you exactly how long it was. We saw them in the very first TV show we did in January. Then we saw them in the very last TV show we did in January, and we didn't see them in between that at all. And I haven't seen them since then. So I've seen them 3 times this year. And 2 of those I wasn't actually present. So, very nice to catch up with them again. Now, Leslie, you're wondering where the males of the Pride are. Leslie, males, of course, are not part of the Pride. The males are extra to the pride. They don't live with the females and the babies. They live on their own in something called a coalition of males. And, well, that's just because that's their role. So the pride consists of females and babies, and the males will normally have 2 or 3 prides in their territory, and they're not considered part of the pride. And of course, much of the misconceptions about lion biology come from the Lion King. Wonderful story. Absolute load of hogwash when it comes to biology. It wasn't supposed to be a biological exposition. It's supposed to be a good story, and well, that's what it was. Now, great joy and rapture, unforeseen, out on foot this afternoon. He's managed to get his act together. He's managed to find himself some pyjama donkeys of the McCurdy-hurdy. Let's go and find out how Stefan Winterboer is doing. Now, yes, indeed, there is some discipline going on with the zebras. There's a lot of play going on here, and I will tell you just that Steph disciplined me earlier on today. He, of course, was a fine exponent of Muay Thai or kickboxing, and, well, I got my pipes cleaned earlier on today during a little exercise session. I can barely move my hands. I think tomorrow that I will probably have to be carried onto the vehicle. Anyway, as they say, that's what happens when you roll with the big dogs. And we're going to get Rebecca to drive for me. Now, as Steph said, we are going to have to leave, I'm afraid, because there are lots of people who want to come and see them because they are so magnificent. So get your questions in. If you've got any more questions, please send them through now. And then we're going to have to leave, say, in about, 3 minutes. It's a very cute little scene, this, I must say. It's so nice to see them again. And it's so nice to see them doing something. And it's so nice to see them in amongst such green grass. Now, there were some vultures quite close by to here, but it doesn't look to me, I thought maybe during the school drive they'd eaten something, but it doesn't look to me like they've eaten anything, actually. They seem to be rather, well, skinny. The mother certainly stood up very, very sort of, not quite emaciated, but certainly skinny looking. Is that floppy ear at the end there? I don't know. Shaya, a very good question. You said their sleeping and hunting patterns change with the season. Shaya, they do to a certain extent. In the winter time, there are far fewer leaves on the trees and the grass is much shorter. And the result of that is that the hunting for a big species like this becomes a little more difficult in the day or in the light, and so they will probably change their hunting patterns to be much more nocturnal during the winter time. I mean, they're nocturnal in summer too, but they'll do a little bit more during the early hours of the morning on moonlit nights, for example, in the summertime when the vegetation is thick. So when the vegetation becomes less thick, they'll have to use more darkness to hunt. Then you also find that with the changing populations of herbivores, so for example, buffalo are a big thing for them to eat in the wintertime. The buffalo lose condition as the water disappears, and so from about July up until October, you'll find a pride like this probably eats largely buffalo. And now there are a huge number of baby antelope around. The buffalo put condition on, which means that they're more difficult to catch. And so I think you'll find that they're probably knocking off impala and kudu and nyala almost at will at night time, but that those animals won't be going very far to feeding the pride because there are so many mouths to feed. Their sleeping patterns, I don't know that they change too much, no. Largely they sleep from dawn to dusk. Janky, you're wondering about the senses that these lions have and what the strongest sense is. So smell, sight, hearing, taste or touch. I think you'd find it's probably, I don't know, you know what, I would split it equally between their ears, their eyes and their noses. They've got very, very strong senses of hearing. They can smell from miles and miles, and they obviously have great eyes, especially at night. But I would say that their worst sense is their sense of taste, because good grief, some of the disgusting stuff that they eat is quite phenomenally foul. I'm obviously being slightly facetious. Jamie, you say, is there a song for when we have found the lions? Yes, it's the old Queen song, We Are the Champions. Craig and I sang that to each other. The lions clapped along, and Craig, of course, does a very fine Freddie Mercury sort of impression. And so, yes, we sang the song We Are the Champions as soon as we found the lions. And Craig, he nearly frightened the lions to death, of course. They nearly got up and left. Didn't you, Craig? I'm laughing at the thought of Craig trying to imitate Freddie Mercury. Craig is the most chilled out person I've ever met in my life, and to imagine him strutting about on a stage is profoundly amusing. Have you ever acted, Craig?
I think in like grade 3 because we had to.
He says he acted in grade 3 because he had to. What did you play the part of? A stone, perhaps?
I think it was like a tree.
A tree. A tree, good. Excellent. All right, everybody, we're going to have to leave these lions now. And we're going to head off. I'm going to see if we can't maybe get lucky with Shadow's youngsters. We'll probably drive this drainage line once more, going up and check around Red Dam and see what else we can find around there. Okay, goodbye, Nkuhumas. We will see you on the flip side. So while we do that, we're going to head over to my Muay Thai teacher. If you look carefully, you will see that there's a slight shake in my hands, and that's because I'm actually unable to use them anymore thanks to him. So please thank him on my behalf.